Hi, I'm Donna. Today's practice is to get unstuck. So, really, to move every way that we can with compassion. So, we're going to start on the floor and maybe just a couple of blankets, especially if you've got a hard floor where you practice. So, lay down on your back with the soles of the feet into Baddha Konasana, legs out wide. If you find this really uncomfortable, this is a really nice variation. Legs parallel, feet hip width. And in making this time for yourself, letting your subtle body become more evident. Just noticing how you feel, places in your body where you might need to have extra compassion. Enjoying tuning in to your breathing, just as it is. Then start to take deeper breaths so you can feel your belly expand with the inhalation and recede with the exhalation. Notice that ebb and flow of the breath. Noticing too if you tense a little to take that deeper in-breath, just letting yourself be as relaxed as you can be. Good, and stretch your arms overhead. You can just have loosely folded arms if you haven't quite got room, or you can stretch them out long, palms facing. Give the sides of your waist a big stretch. Good. You're going to interlock your fingers under the back of your neck or skull, support your head, just let your head rest back into your hands. Still feel that nice deep breath in the belly. Good, and we're just going to lift the upper body up off the floor. Try not to push your head forward with your hands. So keep the head resting back into the hands. Good, and squeeze your belly, squeeze the pelvic floor. You want to still feel the lower back arch lifting away from the floor. Good, laying back down. Good, just lifting up again. Let the belly really hollow towards the spine. Just noticing how this feels. You don't have to lift up too high. Make sure you keep your head relaxed, neck relaxed. We want the work in the core. Good, laying back down. Lifting up again, really squeezing the belly, squeeze the pelvic floor. Good, you're going to bring your knees in, lift your feet off the floor. Good, so we keep the lower back arch just lifting away from the floor, but squeeze the belly. We're going to squeeze the knees in towards the chest and lift the elbows, but keep the head relaxed, neck relaxed. Good, laying back down. And again. Good, one more. You can keep going curled up like that, or curl in. So elbows in, knees in, and then straighten your arms, straighten your legs, reach up, and then lay down. So you're going to take the legs down straight if you can, or bend them if you need to. Good, curl in, straighten up, reach up, upper body lifts. Good, and then lay back down. Curl in, straighten up, arms reach up, legs reach up, and laying back down. Good, two more. Nice work. Bending your legs, bringing your arms. Just take a resting position and press your lower back into the floor. Breathe in, really let the belly fill with the breath and lift the belly up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, press your lower back into the floor. Inhale. Nice big deep breath. Exhaling, pressing your lower back. Hollow your belly to your lower back. Good, and then a natural, neutral position for your spine. Just feeling that little arch of your lower back, just shy of the floor. Good. We're going to cross the feet just enough to roll up so you can put your elbows underneath your shoulders. Good. We're going to hold the feet off the floor. Okay, if it's really too strong in your back, you can always put the toes down on the floor. Keep the neck nice and long, front and back of the throat. Lift your lower back and squeeze your belly so the front core supports the back core. Good, and just try straightening one leg. Come back to center. Straighten the other leg. Good, keep squeezing your belly, keep your neck relaxed, throat relaxed. So we're going to straighten the legs, one each side. Okay, this time when you straighten, try lowering down. See where that changes the feeling in the core, front core of the body. Lift back up, straighten your other leg and then lower down, not quite touching the floor. Lift back up, curl in, one more straighten, lower down, not quite touching. Neck relaxed, throat relaxed. Good, cross your ankles and lift up so you can have your fingers facing forward. Good. Bend your elbows so you can lift your feet off the floor again. Lift the lower back, squeeze the belly. Straightening one leg, straightening the other leg. Neck relaxed, throat relaxed. Good. All right, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together again and take the legs to the side, but see if you can turn your upper body, look back over the left shoulder. So the legs go right, face goes left, come back to center. Take the legs to the opposite side. Turning to look over the right shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Legs go right, looking left. Inhale, come up to center. Legs go left. Turn your upper body, looking back over the right shoulder. Good, coming up to center. Place your feet down on the floor. Good, we're going to straighten through the arms. Good. Walk your legs out so they're straight. Have your hands where it's comfortable. If you really can't manage that with your wrists, just put your hands facing out like that. Good, and we're going to lift up. Lengthen the lower back, lift the belly. Point the toes right up to the ceiling. Keep the back of the neck long, keep the throat long. Lifting the chest. Feel that deep breath into the belly. Good, and then release. Good. Going to bring the legs in, cross them so you can bring your hands to the front of the mat, coming to all fours. Put your shoulders over your wrists, and we're going to make circles around the wrist with the shoulders. We're going to press the fingerprints. The base of the index fingers go in the other direction with your circles. Good. And then coming into a kneeling position. Kneeling back onto your heels. If that's very uncomfortable, you can put a couple of blankets in between your thighs and your lower legs or under your sit bones to help you with kneeling, or you can always kneel up. So if that's a problem, have your feet going straight back. So toes go straight back, and we're going to bring the backs of the hands onto the floor now. So the further forward you walk the wrists, then the bigger the stretch. So you find where you need the stretch. Take time to notice what your wrists really need and You can even just wiggle a little bit from side to side or sway from side to side. Good, and then try fingers facing back. And again, you walk your hands as far forward as you feel like your wrists need, your forearms. You can even give the fingers a big stretch. Maybe your hands don't go right down onto the floor. Just see what feels like a nice stretch for your wrist. Good. All fours. Arch your spine up and arch your spine down. Find that good position for your hands where most of the creasing in your wrists faces forward. Wide, even spaces in your fingers. Press your fingerprints. Press the base of the index fingers. Good. Tuck your toes under. Come up into Baddha Konasana. Downward facing dog pose. Bend both your knees and lift your hips as high as you can and lift right up onto the balls of your feet. Give your toes a nice stretch, and you're going to sway your hips just a little from side to side, so you're rolling across the balls of the feet. You can start to stretch the sides of your waist, sides of the ribs. See if you can still stay in contact with that deep breath into the belly. Good. And then lifting up to center, again, right up onto the balls of the feet. Straighten your legs, lift your sit bones, but relax your neck. Open your chest a little more towards the front of the legs, and then you're going to press your heels down to the floor. Good. And then we're going to ease the shoulders forward so we're in plank position. If it feels too strong in your wrists, give yourself a little bit more space. So walk your hands forward a little more. And if it's still too strong, you can put your knees down onto the floor. Good. Tailbone draws forward. We lengthen the front of the legs. I'm going to face my elbow creases so they're both going in the same direction. Otherwise, my right arm tends to swing around. So check your elbows. Good. And now we're going to roll across the feet, so heels to the right, and see if you can lower your hips towards the floor. Some people might be able to touch down, and come back up to center. Plank position. Roll across your feet to the left. See if you can touch down. Come back up to center. So from plank, rolling, side to side. One more each side. You can see I'm moving my hands to try and get a little bit lower. See how you go. Good. Plank position. Knees gently to the floor. And take a rest for a moment, following your breath, following all the sensation in your body. It might be your wrists or your arms, it might be your back. Enjoying the depth of the breath and connecting with that. The ability to let go of tension that isn't necessary. Good, and then reaching your arms forward. Forward Virasana. Look forward at your hands. Take your elbows out wide, chest and nose just along the floor. So you're laying between your hands and coming to up dog. So have your elbows into the ribs. You might have your arms bent. You might have your arms straight. Don't overdo it in your back. So just go to where it feels like a really nice lift. But you can leave the back feeling long, not compressing. Draw the shoulder blades back. Lift the breastbone. Keep breathing. Good, and then we're going to lengthen the belly, lengthen the breastbone. Let's take a rest for a moment. Hands under the forehead. Relax your lower back and wiggle from side to side. So just wiggle across onto one side and the other. Relaxing your back, relaxing your sacrum. Good, and then we're going to take a blanket. It's to go under the elbows. So put that at the front of your mat. And we're going to have the elbows under the shoulders. And you can either lift up onto your knees. So I'm lifting the front core to support the back core. Or you can tuck your toes under and lift up into a plank position. So elbows are over your, no, elbows are under your shoulders. Good. Breathing deeply. Good, and then relax your knees and take a little rest. Just gentle hands under your forehead. Wiggling a little from side to side. And to stretch out that front core, come into up dog again. Just don't compress your back, so don't squash into your back, just to lift higher, but really feel the length of your spine. See if you can still reach your ribs forward, lift your breastbone, keep the elbows in. Make sure you keep your neck long, so you don't want your shoulders squashing into your neck space. Back of the neck long. Good, and then lengthen your belly, lengthen your breastbone. Take a little moment to rest again. Rocking from side to side. Good, and then we're going to do side plank and have your left elbow under your left shoulder. You can either tuck your feet back and lift up onto your knees, nice straight line through the spine, or try up onto the outside edge of your left foot. I'm going to just fold my fingers, lift my thumb, keep the shoulder in strongly, so don't let it fall out to the side. You can even use your other hand, or you can reach up. Squeeze the front core to the back core. Good, and then releasing. Coming back onto your belly. Take a little rest for a moment. Just wiggle from side to side. Hands underneath the shoulders. Lift up, up dog. Draw the shoulder blades back. Good, and then we're going to lengthen the belly, lengthen the breastbone as you lay back down. Take a little rest again, hands under the forehead, wriggling from side to side. Just feel what's going on in your back. Good, and then we're going to roll over onto the right side so that your right elbow is under your right shoulder. Okay, you can even tuck the feet back behind you. Just lift up onto your knees. Or straight legs, lift up onto the outside of your right foot. Just make sure you've got enough padding under your elbow. Ow. Good. Watch the right shoulder doesn't fall out to the front of the mat. So really draw it in strongly. Front core reaches back. Into the back core, you might be able to lift up your left arm. Keep both sides of the neck long. Keep squeezing the front core to support. Squeeze the pelvic floor. Keep breathing, keep breathing. Good, and then release. Roll back onto your belly. Hands underneath your forehead. Wriggle a little from side to side. Hands underneath the shoulders, lifting the breastbone. Listen to your back. So that's going to tell you how straight your arms need to be. So that your back feels long, your chest feels wide. Shoulder blades reaching back. Good, we're going to press up. You don't need the blanket, I don't think. All fours position. Wiggle the hips from side to side. Good. And then wiggling one shoulder forward and the other shoulder forward. Good. Coming back to center, to symmetry, and arching your spine gently up and gently down. Sense where the body might have tightened up from that strong work for the core, the back core, the front core. Letting go of tension that's unnecessary. Finding your suppleness. Good. Step your right knee to your right wrist and let your left leg slide back. So a blanket under this sitting bone if it feels a little too strong in your hip or your knee. Good. We're going to reach the belly over the front leg, and maybe you can walk your hands out like that, your arms out straight. Maybe you can come down onto your forearms. Take your awareness into your back. Just sense that you can still wriggle a little bit from side to side, that you have the ability to move the spine up, move the spine forward. And particularly for this posture, we want to find that forward movement of the lower back. Good, so you might be able to walk the arms further forward from there. But try to keep your sacrum level to the floor, your shoulder blades level to the floor. Good, and you're going to walk your hands across to the left. And just go as far as feels comfortable for you. Reach your right arm so your right waist is lengthening. Good, and then walking your hands back to center. And then walking in. Lift up, little back bend again, reaching the lower back forward. You can lift right up onto fingertips, wrap your hands, squeeze imaginary tennis balls, draw the shoulder blades back. Good. And then we're going to swap sides. So you're going to step back into all fours position. Left knee, left wrist. Foot goes in front, left foot goes in front of the right hip and slide your right hip back. Good, we're going to try and walk the hands a little further forward or down onto your forearms if that feels okay. So lengthening the belly, just checking in that you can still wiggle a little bit from side to side. That you still have that notion of supple movement in your spine, forward and back. And then reaching all the way forward with your lower back and maybe even with your arms. Keep your sacrum level to the floor, your shoulder blades level to the floor. Giving in. Good, and then we're going to walk the hands across to the left side. Just go as far as is comfortable for you and reaching your left arm so the left ribs are stretching, the left waist. Good, and then back to center. And walking in. Come right up onto your fingertips. Draw your shoulder blades back. Good. And then coming back into all fours. Wiggling a little from side to side, finding your movement. Arching the spine down, arching the spine up. Good, tuck your toes under, downward facing dog pose. Take time to work your heels down towards the floor. To lift your sit bones, your kneecaps, your quadriceps. To let the belly lengthen and hollow. To let the armpits lengthen. The collarbones be wide, the shoulder blades wide. Feel into your fingerprints, the base of your index fingers. Reaching any amount. Feet into the floor, hands into the floor. Hips to the sky. Good. We're going to step the right foot forward into a lunge position, or you can take your knees onto the floor and hands off the floor if you can't quite reach. Good. And in the lunge, we're going to drop the back knee, not quite touching the floor, and lift your hands up onto your front knee. Good. Lift the breastbone. Good. Reach your arms up, look up. So the back knee is bent here. We've got the knee really close to the floor. You'll feel it strongly, the front of the quadricep. Good. And then bring the hands back down onto the floor. Good. And take the knee gently to the floor. Good. Come onto the front of the left foot. And then we're going to reach the hips back. Walk your hands back. Keep your back nice and long. Keep the lower back reaching forward. But dorsiflex your right toes, so point them back towards your chest. Start to drop the hips as close to your back heel as you can. Good. Tuck the left toes under so you're in your lunge position again. We're going to step back into downward facing dog pose. Press your heels, plant your hands. Good. Stepping your left foot forward into a lunge position. Good, but drop your back knee, your right knee towards the floor, but not quite touching. Lift your hands up onto your left knee. Lift your breastbone. Lengthen the belly. Lengthen your lower back. Good. Reach the arms up by the ears. Arms parallel, palms facing. Look up. Right knee stays just near the floor. Good. Bring your hands back down onto the floor. Good. Gently place your right knee onto the floor, top of the right foot onto the floor, and start to reach the heels back towards your right heel. Sorry, the hips back towards your right heel. Point your left toes towards your heart, so the left leg's out in front, nice and straight. So you want the hips level to the floor. Support with your hands. Really dorsiflex the left toes. Reach the lower back forward. Good. Come back into a lunge position. Tuck your right toes under. Lift your right knee off the floor. We're going to step back into downward facing dog pose. Good. And then we're going to come into a kneeling position. And you might need a blanket to help you with sitting. Just sitting up onto your heels, but part your ankles so they're about hip width distance. Try to get your feet to go straight back rather than the toes curling in or out. Good. And I'm going to use a blanket to show you how to do that. We're going to take the left leg out. Oh, nope. Right leg out in front. And the blanket is to make a little bit of height so that I can sit with my hips level to the floor. So the femur bones are parallel to each other, that center line of your thighs. Good. Bend in your right leg. And we're going to take hold of the foot and try to straighten the leg. Now, if you can't reach to do that, oh, short arms. What you can do is hold underneath the thigh. So you might be working here. You might be holding the foot and getting the foot nice and high and can't quite get the leg straight. So that's what you're going to work on. Or you might have the leg straight. And then you're working on lifting the torso up as tall as you can, and bringing the leg a little closer to the front of the body, a little straighter. We want to make room at the front of the right hip, the right belly, so hollow the right belly. Keep the toes stretching nice and long. Lifting the lower back as much as you can, so trying to resist that outward curve. So lifting the lower back, drawing the shoulder blades down. Good, and then releasing. Great, and then you're going to put that foot out to straight and then coming into your kneeling position. So we're going to swap sides. So if you kneel your right leg under you now and lift to the right so you can straighten your left leg and take support if you need it. So if you can sit with your hips level to the floor, then you probably don't need something underneath. But if you're still bending to one side and then you try to sit up straight, you're going to be squashing the right side of the spine. So we want to get the best start for the back so that both sides of your lower back can feel long. Good, and bending your left leg. Think about how you're going to manage this. So you might be holding under the thigh and getting your leg as straight as you can and sitting up as tall as you can. You might have the leg a little higher. You might be able to hold your foot and work on straightening your leg and lifting your lower back. Feeling proud across the heart, the chest, wide between the collarbones. Just discovering where you're up to. So we're trying to dorsiflex the toes, so stretch them towards your front. Getting your leg as straight as you can. Feeling ease either side of your spine, around your heart, in your neck. Good. And then releasing to straighten that leg out in front. And if you lift over to the left, you can straighten your right leg out in front so that we're sitting straight. And if you take your blanket under your hips, if you have a blanket, that's going to help your forward bend. The reason is we get the hips up a little bit higher. It's going to help you get the pelvis to tilt forward. Because when we bend forward, we're not trying to bend from here, but rather to tip so that the spine stays nice and long. Lots of space and length either side of the spine. So we're going to do that now and start off with your hands behind your hips and just get that sense of lengthening your lower back, of feeling spacious around your heart, relaxed in your shoulders and your neck. To get that tipping movement to happen, we have to relax at the front of the both hips, at the front of the hip crease, at the belly. So see how much of that tipping forward movement you can find in your body. We'll keep the legs as straight as you can. Dorsiflex your toes so they're pointing back towards your chest. Nice and long in your toes. Put your hands where it feels appropriate for you to support. So they might stay behind your hips, might be under your shoulders, Some long-armed people can reach their feet. But that's certainly not the goal of the posture. It really is to find that length for your lower back, to keep that sense of spaciousness around your heart. Paschimottanasana. Good, and then inhale. And coming up. Great. And hugging in your right leg. And you can take hold of your foot, your right foot with your left hand and your knee with your right hand. And just make some nice big circles with your hip. So you draw circles in the air with your knee. Both directions. Good. And we're going to place this foot as high along the left thigh as you can. If it's really uncomfortable, sometimes that muscle is tender, you can put a blanket in between your foot and your leg. Maybe it won't go that high, and where you need to work is more with your foot onto the floor, where it's going to be workable for your hip. And some people can get the heel right in the front of the left hip. Just watch what happens to your foot. So what the natural movement tends to be that where the sole of the foot is going to lift up. But if you take a look, the outside of my ankle is much longer than the inside of my ankle. So I'm going to try and do this with a feeling of strength and support in the ankle. So both faces of the ankle even in length. Good. And again, we support, start with the hands behind the hips. And you get that nice tuning into your lower back, making space there, making space around your heart. Good. Lengthening your belly, lengthening your breastbone. And support where it feels appropriate for you with your hands. If you've got a long way forward, you can really try to hollow the belly, make a little more space. Good, and then inhale and come up and stretch out through your right leg. Good, and then take your left leg and left foot into the right hand, knee into the left hand, and draw circles in the air with your knee. Good. And then see how you go, where you can place your foot. So don't put it on your knee. Maybe you go a little way. Maybe you need a blanket between your foot and your knee. Just see how you go. You might have to have your foot onto the floor if it just is too strong in your hips. Good. And if you can squeeze your heel up closer to your hip, that's great. But do try and keep both faces of the ankle even in length. And dorsiflex the toes. Good. But come back to that sense that you're able to sit with the spine long. So even if the legs feel awkward or there's a lot of resistance here, find the length through your spine, that ability to lift, to sit up tall, feel the space around your heart, relaxed neck. And so in your moving forward, keeping that sense of space in your lower back. And you're just moving to where you can keep that in your back, that sense of ease and length for your spine, space around your heart. Put your hands where it feels appropriate to support. Reaching the lower back forward, drawing the shoulder blades back, neck relaxed, throat relaxed, belly hollowing. If you've got a lot of movement, you can test beyond reaching your foot, so reaching your hands further forward or crossing. But let most of the awareness be into the belly. the reaching forward of the spine. Good, and then release. Both legs out straight. And lifting your back, feeling space around your heart. Good. And we're going to lay down. Bring the feet in close and lift your back off the floor. Press into your feet, lengthen your thighs. We'll have the shoulders kept nice and wide here. If you want to lift up a little higher, you can walk the balls of the feet in closer to your torso. Lift the hips. You might be able to fit your forearms under you. So support with your hands underneath your waist. You might be able to fit the feet back down on the floor. Keep the back of the neck long. Throat relaxed. Keep the legs parallel, so watch they don't fly out to the side. Breathing deeply into the belly. Good, and then release. Just relaxing your back onto the floor. Relax your arms out, palms up. Put your feet where it's most comfortable for your back. Try to have your legs parallel, your feet parallel. Good. Bring the soles of the feet together. Inside edges of the feet together, knees together. You're going to take your left thigh over your right. Lift your hips and swing them left, and then let the legs to the floor on the right side. The aim of these floor twists is really to give your back the best chance of lengthening, of relaxing. So where you put your knees in relation to your waist or your shoulders makes a difference. You might like to play around with walking your feet up or down. Facing back over your left shoulder, closing your eyes, and giving in to the posture. Feeling the front core relaxing and lengthening. Good. And then coming back up to your center, uncrossing, recenter your spine. Right thigh over the left. And you lift your hips and swing them to the right. And knees go left. And you're looking for the best position for your legs. You might want to wiggle your feet up or down a little. Right shoulder blade stays onto the floor. You're looking back over your right shoulder. Finding where you can give in to the posture. And then lifting back up, you're going to walk your feet back to center. Just feet hip width, legs parallel, arch your spine up a little, or you'll just your lower back up from the floor and then press it into the floor. So just your lower back, arching up and down. Holding the position if that feels like it's what you need, or moving with the breath. until your back feels relaxed. And then you can lay out for Shavasana. And if there's any tightness in your back, put a blanket in underneath your thighs while you relax, and take as long as you need in your relaxation. Just checking in that you really feel as symmetrical as you can be, as evenly weighted as you can be. Thank you for joining me in this practice. Take the feeling of the practice with you. Namaste.